Chapter 637. You can't marry this little trash. Chujiu heard what the palace mistress said, and wanted to vomit all over her face. Damn it. Who do you think you are? You've been finicky the moment you arrive. If it wasn't for the gigolo's sake, I wouldn't have bothered with you. Don't think about entering the D family. The gigolo begged me to enter, but I might not even want to enter. You old witch. Even though Chujiu was cursing the palace mistress in her heart, she still smiled sweetly on the surface. Palace mistress, since you don't like the tea that I pour, then brother Biming, you can pour it. The lady pouted at Manager Luo, who was beside her. Manager Luo immediately took out a piece of snow-white cloth from his storage ring and spread it on the stone table. He also took out a chair that was exquisitely made. Only then did the palace mistress sit down. Chujiu secretly pursed her lips. She really knew how to be arrogant. No wonder the gigolo was so fussy. It turned out that he had learned it from his mother. It was really a case of the upper beam being crooked, hence the lower beam was crooked too. 1. Chujiu was thinking as she prepared to sit on the rattan chair opposite her, when she heard the palace mistress shout angrily. Did I allow you to sit down? Answer me while standing. Mother, what are you doing? If you have any dissatisfaction, just direct them to me. Don't lose your temper at little Jiu, Di Biming said with a cold face. When she heard Di Biming defending Chujiu, her anger immediately dialed up 10 points, and she gritted her teeth in anger. Biming, you have really disappointed me. I've helped you find so many good girls, but you didn't even take a fancy to them. You actually took a fancy to such a thing. You have no spiritual power, no family background, and no figure. Have you lost your mind? No wonder you came to the low-class world of the Qingxian continent in the past 2 years. It was this little trash who seduced you. Where is your brain? Mother, you don't have to care about my affairs. In short, I only have little Jiu in my heart. I will never marry another woman in my life except for her. Di Biming thought that since it was already like this, he would just lay it all out. You bastard. I'm your mother, I don't care who cares about you. This little trash can never enter our D family. The palace mistress was so angry that her face turned red. It was obvious that her anger was through the roof. Chujiu cursed in her heart. You shameless old witch, speaking of your D family? Is your surname D? If you weren't Gigolo's mother, I would have scolded you to death. Mother, little Jiu is not trash, and regardless of whether she is, I only like her. I must marry her. Di Biming had a headache, and he knew that his mother would not let this pass easily. Not trash. This little girl must be 13, right? She is only at the 8th level of spirit enhancement. Isn't she trash? In the Tianyuan continent, a girl at her age is at least at the level of a spirit emperor. With her talent, she would probably not be able to ascend to the Tianyuan continent even if she was a few hundred years old. Do you want to settle down in this godforsaken Qingxian continent? In short, you cannot marry this little trash. The palace mistress did not like Chujiu, no matter how she looked at her. Although it was gratifying that her son was finally close to a woman, it was definitely not possible for him to marry such a thing. Mother, little Jiu has the heavenly thunder spirit root, and her actual spiritual power level is at the 7th level of the spirit cultivator realm. It's just that she was afraid that her foundation would be unstable, so she didn't continue to break through. Otherwise, she would have long reached the level of the spirit emperor. Di Biming had no choice but to tell the truth. The palace mistress was stunned at first, and then raised her voice. That's even more impossible. The heavenly thunder root spirit is not tolerated by the heavens, so it will definitely be wiped out. She will implicate you. I firmly disagree. If you insist on marrying this little trash, I will commit suicide. Chapter 638. The virtuous Chujiu thought to herself, suicide? Or are you trying to fool? You always say that you want to die, but you're actually more afraid of death than anyone else. If you can do it, why don't you show me? No wonder the gigolo was so arrogant. He had such a troublesome mother. If the gigolo was not so fussy, he probably would not have been able to suppress this mother who loved to cause trouble. She did not know why the gigolo's father had taken a fancy to such a mischievous woman back then. Was it because his eyesight was not great? However, this fellow could only complain in her heart. On the surface, she still had a perfect smile on her face. She was as virtuous as she could be. And Feng, who had just returned from delivering the letter, looked at the calm Yin Chujiu and then looked at the furious palace mistress. In his heart, he gave Yin Chujiu a thumbs up. Miss Jiu is really smart. Our esteemed lord must feel very bad that she's giving him so much face. He would definitely treat Miss Jiu better in the future. Sure enough, Di Biming looked at Yin Chujiu and then looked at his livid mother. He felt that his mother was really unreasonable. Mother, if you don't leave now, I will send a voice transmission talisman to father. I believe that he will be very interested in why his letters have disappeared. Di Biming said faintly. The palace mistress' arrogant aura immediately dissipated and she said with a stern expression, Biming, what nonsense are you talking about? What letters? I don't know anything. Is that so? It's the letters that father's junior sisters sent to father. I remember when I was young, I accidentally saw you. Shut up. I will leave after saying a few words to this little trash. Get lost first. The palace mistress revealed a trace of panic on her face. This little brat, if Lin Han found out that I was the one who burned those letters, he would definitely fly into a rage. Mother, if you hurt someone's life, you will be punished by the heavens. Moreover, if you hurt little Jiu, I will never forgive you for the rest of my life. Di Biming said as he stared at the palace mistress with a serious gaze. The palace mistress' heart sank when she saw the expression on her son's face. It's over. This little brat is serious. Looks like I really can't touch this little trash for the time being. I can only let her know the difficulties, so she will retreat. Don't worry. I won't lower myself to kill a little trash. Move aside. I'll talk to her for a bit and then I'll leave. The palace mistress said impatiently. Di Biming saw that there was no killing intent in his mother's eyes, so he said to Yin Chujiu, Little Jiu, just listen to what my mother says. I'll take care of everything. Yin Chujiu nodded. Brother Biming, it's obvious that palace mistress is a reasonable person. Why would she make things difficult for me? Don't worry. Di Biming nodded and walked to Feng's side. The palace mistress thought to herself, this little girl sure knows how to talk, but no matter how good she is, she just won't do. How can a trash from a low-tier world deserve such an outstanding son like mine? Don't even think about it. The palace mistress took out an isolation disc and activated it. Then she said, Little girl, do you know what I want to say to you? When Yin Chujiu saw that the palace mistress had activated the isolation disc, her virtuous appearance immediately disappeared. She revealed a carefree look and sat down on the rattan chair. Yin Chujiu glanced at the palace mistress. What do you want to say? Do you mean to say that if I leave Brother Biming, you will give me spirit stones? You can give me a number. If the price is suitable, I don't mind making this deal with you. Chapter 639. Your son is too cheap. The palace mistress was obviously stunned by Yin Chujiu's sudden change in demeanor. She was stunned for a moment, then she sneered and said, Humph. I knew this little trash had bad intentions. Turns out, you're really here for Biming's money. 10,000 high-grade spirit stones should suffice, right? These spirit stones are enough for you to use in Qingxian continent for a lifetime. Yin Chujiu curled her lips and said, Palace mistress, aren't you being too stingy? Since you're so insincere, then we don't have much to discuss anymore. You are truly insatiable. 20,000 is fine, right? The palace mistress looked at Yin Chujiu's shameless appearance, and was so angry that she was grinding her teeth. It was a pity that she had been warned by Di Biming, otherwise she would definitely slap Yin Chujiu to death. 20,000? Your son is only worth 20,000 high-grade spirit stones? Isn't that too little? Yin Chujiu said as she took out a supreme-grade spirit stone from her storage ring and tossed it around. The palace mistress cried out in shock. Little trash, where did you get this supreme-grade spirit stone? Did Biming give it to you? Alright. You little trash, you are indeed a wastrel. Not only did you seduce my son to read that shameless book, you even asked him to give you such a valuable supreme-grade spirit stone. Give it back to me. Yin Chujiu dodged her in a flash, and another supreme-grade spirit stone appeared in her hand. I have a lot of these things, so I really don't like the 20,000 you offered. How about this? If you give me 1 billion supreme grade spirit stones, I'll consider giving up on brother Biming. How about that? The palace mistress felt a headache coming on, so she decided to change her strategy. She softened her tone. Little trash. Little Miss Gio. Actually, Sai, you're not too useless, but you have to understand my feelings as a mother. Your family background is really not compatible for our Biming. Moreover, you have a heavenly lightning root spirit that the heavens doesn't allow. This will indirectly bring a lot of danger to Biming. If you like him, you would want him to be happy, right? I won't pursue the things that Biming gave you. I'll also compensate you with an additional 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. From now on, you two should sever your ties. If one day, you really ascend to the Tianyuan continent, I'll definitely take care of you. How about it? Yin Chujiu blinked her eyes, she sighed. Palace mistress, if you had said so earlier, I would have agreed. This human heart is made of flesh and blood. And your motherly heart is truly touching. Forget it, since you're so reasonable, I won't be unreasonable anymore. You can just transfer 100,000 high-grade spirit stones to me. Hearing Yin Chujiu's words, the palace mistress was very pleased with herself. She's just an ignorant little girl, and was tricked by me with just a few words. Forget it. 100,000 spirit stones as repayment for the cost of enlightening my foolish son. The palace mistress immediately transferred 100,000 high-grade spirit stones to Yin Chujiu. Then she said, in a while after I remove the isolation array, you will tell Biming that you don't like him at all, and that you're with him in order to obtain more spirit stones. From now on, the two of you will sever your ties. Do you understand? Yin Chujiu nodded her head obediently. Yes, I understand. I will definitely tell him the truth, word for word. The palace mistress was very satisfied. In fact, if this little girl's family background was not too bad, and she had her special root spirit, she could still be considered passable. The palace mistress immediately removed the isolation array. Biming was waiting anxiously. When he saw that Yin Chujiu was safe and sound, he was relieved. Biming, little Gio has something to say to you. The palace mistress said with a smile. She was very proud in her heart. She was just a little girl from a lower realm. She was really too easy to deal with. Chapter 640, Shameless and Invincible. Biming's heart sank. He looked at Yin Chujiu and asked, Little Gio, what do you want to tell me? Yin Chujiu carefully looked at the palace mistress and said timidly, Palace mistress, do I really have to say it? The palace mistress nodded at her encouragingly and said, Yes, you have to say it sooner or later. Yin Chujiu gritted her teeth as if she had made up her mind, and then she said, In a while after I remove the isolation array, you will tell Biming that you don't like him at all, and that you're with him in order to obtain more spirit stones. From now on, the two of you will sever your ties. Do you understand? Prince Charming, these are all things that the palace mistress had asked me to say just now. She said that if I didn't say that, she would skin me alive, pull out my tendons and scatter my soul. Sob sob. I'm so scared. Yin Chujiu was crying as she spoke. Biming's heart ached as he hugged Yin Chujiu in his arms. He looked at the palace mistress with a cold expression. Mother, you've gone too far. Even if you don't agree for me to be with little Gio, you shouldn't scare her like this. The palace mistress almost fainted from anger. She pointed at Yin Chujiu while trembling. Little trash. You promised me just now, but you actually made a false accusation instead, you scoundrel. Yin Chujiu wiped away her tears and said innocently, Palace mistress, what did I promise? Didn't you say that my family background is too poor, and that I'm not a good match with brother Biming? Moreover, I have the heavenly thunder root spirit, which is not tolerated by the heavens. It will indirectly bring a lot of danger to brother Biming, so you want me to be apart from brother Biming. This is what I said, but haven't you already promised to part with Biming? The palace mistress had never met Yin Chujiu, who was very shameless. Usually, all the girls were respectful to her, and there was no such weirdo. Brother Biming, I promised the palace mistress just now as a temporary measure. If I didn't agree with her, she would have killed me. There's nothing I can do. Brother Baiming, don't worry. Even if heaven and earth unite, I will not part ways with you. Yin Chujiu looked at Di Baiming lovingly. Di Baiming's heart softened. At that moment, he felt that it was not impossible for his unreliable mother to visit them again. At the very least, it would allow Black Thing to speak more truthfully. When the palace mistress saw Di Baiming and Yin Chujiu exchanging glances, she was so angry that she gritted her teeth. She pointed at Yin Chujiu with a trembling finger and scolded, Baiming, don't listen to her nonsense. She accepted 100,000 high-grade spirit stones from me and agreed to leave you. She is going for your spirit stones. Yin Chujiu had a magnanimous expression on her face. That's right, I accepted 100,000 high-grade spirit stones from you. Didn't you say that it was a welcome gift for me? Although it's very little, I'm not very picky. The palace mistress was stunned by Yin Chujiu's shamelessness. There was such a shameless person in this world? To think that she could say such things without changing her expression. A welcome gift for you? Where's your honor? I wish I could slap you to death. Yet you think I'm giving you a welcome gift. And Feng lit a candle for the palace mistress. At first, I thought that Miss Jiu was going to be in trouble this time. I didn't expect that, cough cough, some people can be so shameless and invincible in this world. I don't believe that the palace mistress would give her a greeting gift even if you beat me to death. She must defrauded her in some way. Brother Baiming, actually, the palace mistress is sharp-tongued but soft-hearted. Although she said it fiercely, she's a very good person. She gave me a greeting gift of 100,000 high-grade spirit stones, and even repeatedly reminded me not to tell you. If she hadn't let the cat out of the bag, I would have definitely kept this secret. Yin Chujiu held Di Baiming's arm and said sweetly. Chapter 641. I don't mind changing my words in advance. The corners of Di Baiming's eyes twitched. It would be strange if he believed Yin Chujiu's nonsense. However, he still smiled faintly and said, Mother, thank you very much. Since you've already given us the greeting gift and met her, can you go back now? The palace mistress was already extremely furious. It had been so many years, and this was the first time she had suffered such a huge loss. It was not even a matter of money. It was just too depressing. Little trash. I did not expect you to have so many tricks up your sleeve. Since we've already said it out loud, I will not hide it anymore. Baiming, I will say it here today. I will never allow this little trash to enter our D family. The palace mistress smashed the stone table beside her with one palm. Yin Chujiu blinked her eyes. This old witch and gigolo were really a family. They both liked to bang on the stone table. Could it be that this old witch also liked to kick doors? Mother, this is also the last time I will tell you. In this life, I will never marry anyone other than little Jiu. If you have any thoughts that you shouldn't have, I will never forgive you in this life. Di Baiming said with a cold expression. The palace mistress was so angry that she gnashed her teeth. She knew that once her son made a decision, even 100 bulls would not be able to pull him back. She could only start with this little trash and make her give up on her own accord. However, this little trash was so sly that she would not hold back, and he was so stubborn that he would not let her go. It was really infuriating. The palace mistress said with a cold smile, Little trash, you really have some skills. You have Baiming so mesmerized that he doesn't even acknowledge me as his mother. Palace mistress, how can you say that? Big brother Baiming has been calling you his mother. If you feel that there aren't enough people addressing you like that, I don't mind changing the way I address you. How about I call you my mother too? Yin Chujiu said with a smile. The palace mistress felt like her head was about to explode. How can there be such a shameless person in this world? I'm really furious. Don't worry, you little piece of trash. I won't do anything to you. But since you really like Baiming, you should think of him. You don't want others to laugh at him for finding a wastrel wife in the future, right? It's not impossible for you to enter our D family. As long as you complete one thing, I won't stop you. A marriage with the blessing of your family is better than one in hiding, right? The palace mistress was silent for a long while before she finally thought of a good idea. Yin Chujiu blinked her eyes and said with a smile, Thank you for giving me a chance, palace mistress. What is it? It's very simple. Other than having a good family background, the few ladies that I have found are all in the top 100 of the Tian honor roll of Tianyuan Academy. As long as you can enter the top 100, I will not stop you. Do you dare to accept? The palace mistress looked at Yin Chujiu with a cold smile and thought to herself, you little trash, if you don't agree. Even though Baiming didn't say it out loud, he would be disappointed in you in his heart. If you agree, HMPH, that would be courting death. You simply can't do it. Putting aside the topic of whether you can ascend to the Tianyuan continent or not, even if you could, you still won't be able to enter the Tianyuan Academy. The entrance examination of the Tianyuan Academy was extremely harsh. You little trash simply won't be able to pass the examination. Even if you did, there would be over 10,000 people in Tianyuan Academy. You still wouldn't be able to enter the top 100 of the Tian honor roll. Therefore, whether you agree or not, I will definitely win this round. You little wastrel still want to argue with me? Dream on. Chapter 642. Let me be struck to death by lightning. When Di Baiming heard the palace mistress' words, he frowned. Little Jiu, you don't have to listen to my mother. Brother Baiming, have you also attended Tianyuan Academy? Yin Chujiu interrupted Di Baiming's words and suddenly asked with sparkling eyes. Humph. Baiming was the most outstanding child in the Tianyuan continent. Naturally, he graduated from the Tianyuan Academy. Moreover, he had always been ranked first on the Tianyuan Academy's Tian honor roll during his enrollment period. After graduation, he had also occupied the first place on the Tianyuan Academy's ranking board. How could such an outstanding son of mine be with a little trash like you? When the palace mistress talked about Di Baiming, her eyes were filled with pride. Yin Chujiu's eyes flashed. Palace mistress, I wonder if you would be able to keep your word? As long as I can enter the top 100 of the Tian honor roll, you won't stop me from dating Brother Baiming? The palace mistress curled her lips in disdain. Of course. I'm just afraid that you won't dare to agree. All right. I agree. Yin Chujiu's small face was full of pride. It's only the top 100 in the Tian honor roll. I'll give you first place and blind your snobbish eyes. The palace mistress sneered again and again. This little girl really did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. People from such a low-tier world like the Qingxian continent, who had ascended to the Tianyuan continent, were already discriminated against in the Tianyuan continent. Although this little girl's heavenly thunder root spirit sounded good, to be able to ascend before the age of 30 would take a lot of luck. HMPH, you've really overestimated yourself. Little girl, there's no point in just agreeing like this. We have to have a time limit. How about this? Let's have a 5-year limit. If you can enter the top 100 list within 5 years, I won't ask about you and Baiming anymore. What if you can't do it within 5 years? The palace mistress felt that it was simply impossible to achieve. The little girl probably would not be able to even reach the 5th level of the Spirit Emperor realm within 5 years, much less enter the top 100 placing in the Tian honor roll of the Tianyuan Academy. If I can't do it, I won't bother Big Brother Baiming anymore. If I don't keep my word, then let me be struck to death by lightning. Yin Chujiu said with a serious expression, secretly laughing in her heart. HMPH, just because I won't bother Prince Charming doesn't mean that he won't bother me. The thunder can strike me to death. If it even has the ability to, how would the palace mistress know that there were twists and turns in this? Although she knew that Yin Chujiu had the heavenly thunder root spirit, she still felt that she was only slightly stronger than an ordinary person. How could she not be afraid of being struck by lightning? Thus, the palace mistress nodded her head with satisfaction. All right. It's a deal. During this period, I will introduce other girls to Baiming. If you can't take it, then give up as soon as possible. Mother, I don't want to see any of those idiots in the future. If you continue to pretend to be sick and force me to participate in some nonsense banquet, I will move out. Di Baiming said with a cold face. It was not easy for me to explain to Black Thing about what happened last time. Isn't this just adding to my troubles? The palace mistress was so angry that she gritted her teeth. What idiots? Which one of them isn't better than this little trash? They have the family background, spiritual power, and looks. You're really pissing me off. Yin Chujiu stood at the side with a gentle look on her face. She cursed in her heart, "Old witch, just you wait. I'll show you how good this gigolo's insight is. For him to be able to marry me is simply a blessing that he has cultivated over 8 lifetimes." The palace mistress glared at Yin Chujiu fiercely and comforted herself. "Take it slow. This son of mine is stubborn. Since he's already enlightened, I don't believe that those girls can't be compared to this little trash." Chapter 643. First destroy, then establish. Mother, in any case, I want like anyone other than little Jiu. You don't have to waste your energy, Di Biming said with a cold face. The palace mistress was so angry that she almost fell on her back. This son of hers had always had an inexpressive demeanor since he was young. The older he grew, the fussier he became. He had never spoken to me properly before. Now because of this little trash, he's even speaking coldly to me. It's simply infuriating. Little trash, remember what you said. Let's go. The palace mistress felt that if she stayed any longer, she would probably be even more upset. At most, she would wait for another 5 years. At that time, we'll see what she has to say. Palace mistress, aren't you going to stay and have some food before you leave? My roasted meat is very delicious. Yin Chujiu said with a smile. I'm afraid that it'll be poisoned to death by you. You scoundrel. No matter how the palace mistress looked at Yin Chujiu, she did not like her. She wanted to slap her to death. Yin Chujiu said dejectedly. All right. Since the palace mistress doesn't like it, please take care. You're welcome to visit me often. Next time, you don't have to give me such an expensive greeting gift. Just bring me some pastries and spirit fruits. I'm not picky. The palace mistress staggered and turned around to glare at her fiercely. Then she turned around and got on the flying spirit tool. Manager Luo gestured for the 8 servant girls to put away the carpet. Yin Chujiu waved her claws and said, If this thing has been used once, can it still be used next time? How dirty it is. The palace mistress definitely won't use it a second time. Don't keep it. The palace mistress gritted her teeth and said from the flying spirit tool, No, let's go. As soon as the palace mistress finished speaking, she heard Yin Chujiu say cheerfully, That's great. I picked up a blanket for nothing. It doesn't look cheap at first glance too. Brother Biming, we can roll around on it tonight. The palace mistress said angrily to Manager Luo, Let's set off immediately. I don't want to see this little trash again. After the flying spirit tool flew away, Yin Chujiu sighed. Prince Charming, you won't blame me, right? I didn't mean to make your mother angry. It's just that, no matter what I do, she always has a preconceived idea and doesn't like me. So, I might as well show my true nature so that I won't be exposed in the future. Di Biming touched his forehead. My mother's health has always been bad, so my father and I are obedient to her. It's inevitable that our temperaments will be a little special. You're so cute, she'll definitely accept you sooner or later. Yin Chujiu cursed in her heart. Bad health. The old witch I saw was as strong as a calf. Anyway, she doesn't like me, so why not just break it down and make a new one? First, I'll give her the worst impression. Then, I'll treat her a little better, and she'll feel that I've improved. The next day, Di Biming received a voice transmission talisman from the palace mistress. It was nothing more than to say that she had fallen ill again, and that he should go back immediately. Yin Chujiu blinked her eyes. Prince Charming, you should go back. What if she's really sick? Even if she's faking it, you have not gone back for a long time. There must be a lot of things to deal with. You should go back. Don't worry about me. All right, I will. I will come to see you in a few days. You should cultivate well, and don't cause any trouble. Di Biming's heart warmed. Black Thing was really getting more and more sensible. Yin Chujiu nodded obediently. Don't worry, I will definitely cultivate well. Prince Charming, I will miss you. You must miss me too. Di Biming saw Yin Chujiu's obedient little appearance and his heart softened. He wished that he could be with her all the time and not part from her at all. Chapter 644. The Wheel of Fortune turns after Di Biming left. Yin Chujiu was indeed well-behaved and focused on her cultivation. The arrival of the palace mistress made Yin Chujiu feel a sense of urgency. Whether it was for herself, the Yun family, or the gigolo, she had to focus on her cultivation. Only when she became stronger would she have the right to speak. However, this fellow thought of something while she was cultivating. During the ancient mine trial, Su Yanran, that little bitch, had brought people to hunt her down. She had yet to settle the score with the Heavenly Gate sect. It was a good opportunity to get the Great Void Mirror Fragment from Heavenly Gate sect. This way, she could temporarily pacify the Great Void Mirror and have it keep an eye on the strange grass for her. Hence, Yin Chujiu sat on the chopping board and went to Master Xianyuan. Master Xianyuan, has the supply of earth fire for the Heavenly Gate sect stopped? Master Xianyuan nodded. That's right. It has stopped for some time. I think Du Gai should be coming over to negotiate soon. Master Xianyuan, if that old bastard Du Gai comes over, let me talk to him. Yin Chujiu said slyly. Master Xianyuan knew that Yin Chujiu had a lot of tricks and would definitely not be at a disadvantage. Moreover, it was mainly to vent Yin Chujiu's anger, so he naturally agreed without hesitation. A few days later, Du Gai arrived at the Spirit Radiance sect to negotiate. When Yin Chujiu hopped into the living room, she saw Du Gai and a few elders sitting on the guest seats. When Du Gai saw Yin Chujiu, he wished he could strangle her to death. This wretched girl was really lucky. This time, not only did he not succeed in stealing the chicken, but had also lost a handful of rice. Not only did he not kill her, but he had also provoked the Spirit Radiance sect. He was probably going to lose something again. Sect leader Du Gai, how are you? TSK, the wheel of fortune has really turned. I remember that not too long ago, you said that I killed Zhang Xiong and the others to threaten our Spirit Radiance sect. Now the situation is exactly the same. Your Heavenly Gate sect can either hand Su Yanran over to me and let me strangle her to death, or pay us an additional 10% of your Spirit Stone share. You can choose one. Yin Chujiu hid behind Elder Chu as she revealed her small head and said. Du Gai tried his best to suppress the anger in his heart. Yin Chujiu, you're alive and kicking. Didn't you not die? Oh, from what you're saying, you're very disappointed that I didn't die, aren't you? You're really black-hearted. It seems that even 1/10 is unable to make up for the trauma in my heart. 1/5. Yin Chujiu said in a huff. You're asking for too much, and taking advantage of the situation. Du Gai was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Isn't there another option? You can hand Su Yanran over to me. I'll slap her to death, and this matter will be over. Yin Chujiu said with a smile. Nonsense. How can our Heavenly Gates sect disregard the safety of our disciple? Don't even think about it. Su Yanran had already cultivated to the 6th level of the Spirit Cultivator realm, and her speed was even more terrifying than her Heavenly Thunder Root Spirit. Du Gai was still hoping that Su Yanran would soar to the skies, so how could he bear to hand her over to the Spirit Radiance sect just like that? Moreover, he was the one who gave the order to kill Yin Chujiu this time, so he could not hand over his own disciple to take the blame. Since you're not handing over Su Yanran, then you can choose to give your own 1/5 of the Spirit Stones. Anyway, only Spirit Radiance sect has earth fire. If you don't want it, then we won't hand it over. Yin Chujiu was very arrogant. This was the benefit of a monopoly. Even if you had Spirit Stones, you could not buy them anywhere else. Du Gai took a deep breath and no longer paid attention to Yin Chujiu. He looked at Master Xianyuan. Master Xianyuan, the ancient mine incident was all a misunderstanding. Moreover, nothing happened to Yin Chujiu. Why don't our sect compensate your sect with 10 million low-grade Spirit Stones? Let's put this matter behind us. Chapter 645. I'm just too soft-hearted. Master Xianyuan smiled. Master Du, the victim of this matter is Yin Chujiu, so Yin Chujiu's opinion represents the opinion of our Spirit Radiance sect. Du Gai was so angry that he almost choked and fainted. Why did this old man Xianyuan place so much importance on Yin Chujiu? Oh right. This stinky girl Yin Chujiu actually had the Heavenly Thunder Root Spirit. This stinky girl hid it well enough. If it were not for this ancient mine trial, they would not have known that she actually had Heavenly Thunder Root Spirit. Du Gai could only look at Yin Chujiu once again, and squeezed out a smile as he said, "Little girl, what happened before was all a misunderstanding. Our 4 great sects are all of one spirit and branch. Don't be too ruthless in doing things, so that we won't meet each other in the future." Sect leader Du Gai, what you said does make some sense. Then let's leave it at 1/10. I'm just too soft-hearted and can't stand to see an old man cry. The corner of Du Gai's eyes twitched. You're really shameless. Then why are you soft-hearted? That black heart of yours is even harder than a rock. Moreover, which eye of yours saw me cry? Stinky girl. Sooner or later, I'll kill you. Little girl, this 10% is really too much. Let's make it 10 million low-grade spirit stones. Although Du Gai hated her to death in his heart, he still forced a smile on his face. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. 10 million? Are you trying to send a beggar away? Is my life only worth this little money? If it wasn't for my quick escape, I would have died long ago. 1/10 of the spirit stones, or else there's no need to discuss. Anyway, we don't have to worry about selling our earth fire. It's good that your Heavenly Gates sect doesn't buy it. Yin Chujiu was as arrogant as she could be. When Du Gai saw that Yin Chujiu was unmoved, his expression turned ugly once again. He turned to look at Master Xianyuan. Master Xianyuan, you're not going to let a little girl mess around, are you? Master Xianyuan smiled faintly. Du Gai, your sect's attitude last time was much worse than this. If it wasn't for our Spirit Radiance sect receiving heaven's gift, I'm afraid that we would have paid more than 1/10 of the spirit stones, right? Du Gai's old face could not hold it in any longer. He said angrily, "That was then and now. Moreover, Yin Chujiu is still alive and kicking. There's nothing wrong with her at all. Your Spirit Radiance sect is going too far with this. Du Gai, according to what you said, is it our fault that Yin Chujiu is not dead? Your Heavenly Gates sect openly besieged our Spirit Radiance sect's disciples, and you still have the nerve to say that we're going too far? Du Gai, we don't need to discuss anymore. See our guests out." Master Xuanyuan's face was as dark as tar. Obviously, he was really angry. The elders behind Du Gai and the elders of the Spirit Radiance sect began to reconcile, saying things like, "Let's talk things over," and so on. Elder Chu said, "Two sect leaders, calm down. The bigger picture is more important. If there's anything, we can discuss it. Let's see if there's any flexible method." Yin Chujiu stomped her feet and said, "Flexible? Other than the spirit stones, nothing else is useful. I want the spirit stones." Elder Chu glared at her. "Enough. The sect leader is really too indulgent with you. The sect leader will make the decision on this matter. Stay obediently." Hearing Elder Chu's words, Yin Chujiu could only purse her lips and remain silent. Du Gai naturally did not want to return empty-handed, so he looked at Elder Chu. "Elder Chu, do you have any good suggestions?" Master Xianyuan also asked. "Elder Chu, if you have something to say, feel free to say it." Elder Chu smiled and said, "Sect Master, I remember that you once said that if any sect was able to give us a fragment of the Great Void Mirror, they would receive a 20% discount. If the Heavenly Gates sect were to give us that, would they be able to turn this matter over?" "No." Without waiting for Master Xianyuan to speak, Yin Chujiu shouted with her hands on her hips, "That damn thing can't be eaten or drunk. How can it be equal to spirit stones?" Chapter 646. Fragment in hand. Master Xianyuan waved his hand at Yin Chujiu, as if he was hesitating. Du Gai and the elders of the Heavenly Gates sect looked at each other. Compared to 1/10 of the spirit stones, it was obviously more advantageous to hand over the fragment of the Great Void Mirror. Moreover, the Great Void Mystic Realm had already disappeared, so this fragment of the Great Void Mirror was completely useless. Just by looking at the fragment, one could infer that the Great Void Mirror was very huge. Even if the Spirit Radiance sect obtained the fragment, they would not be able to find the main body of the Great Void Mirror, so there was no harm in giving it to them. Master Xianyuan, what Elder Chu said makes sense. Our Heavenly Gates sect can use the fragment of the Great Void Mirror to express our apology. The fragment of the Great Void Mirror is a fragment of an ancient divine weapon, so it's better than the spirit stones, right? Du Gai said to Master Xianyuan. When Yin Chujiu heard this, she was instantly unhappy. She ran out from behind Elder Chu and shouted, "No! I don't agree. I'm the victim here. I want spirit stones, I don't want any bullshit fragment of the Great Void Mirror." The face of the sect master standing behind Master Xianyuan darkened slightly. "Yin Chujiu, don't be impudent. Step back." Yin Chujiu glared fiercely at Du Gai and retreated unwillingly behind Elder Chu. Yin Chujiu had an unwilling look on her face and wanted to say something. However, after being glared at by Elder Chu, she finally calmed down. Du Gai pursed his lips and thought to himself, no matter how much the Spirit Radiance sect pampers you, for the sake of the harmony of the four sects, they won't completely let you do whatever you want. However, this little girl has a lot of bad ideas. I'd better hurry up and settle this matter, so that there won't be any more problems. When Du Gai thought of this, he immediately took out the fragment of the Great Void Mirror and said, "Master Xianyuan, since that's the case, I'll leave this fragment of the Great Void Mirror to your Spirit Radiance sect. Let's put the matter of the ancient mine trial behind us. I wonder if our earth fire supply can immediately be restored?" Master Xianyuan kept the fragment of the Great Void Mirror. He nodded his head and said, "Since Master Du has already expressed his apology, let's put this matter behind us. If your sect does something similar in the future, don't blame us for being merciless. Tomorrow morning, we'll restore your sect's earth fire supply." When Du Gai heard that Master Xianyuan had relented, the weight in his heart was finally lifted. When Du Gai saw that the matter had already been resolved, he did not have the mood to exchange pleasantries. After saying a few words, he left with his people. Du Gai had just left when Yin Chujiu, this fellow, no longer had the unwilling look from before. She smiled and said to Master Xianyuan, "Master Xianyuan, your acting is really great. Quickly give me the fragment of the Great Void Mirror." Master Xianyuan did not tease her, and gave her the fragment of the Great Void Mirror immediately. Yin Chujiu took it and happily put it into her storage ring. She kept thanking everyone. "Thank you, everyone. If it weren't for everyone working together, that old bastard Du Gai wouldn't have easily given us the fragment of the Great Void Mirror. This old bastard must have thought that he took advantage of me." Humph. Elder Chu curiously asked Yin Chujiu, "Little Jiu, what do you want this fragment of the Great Void Mirror for?" "Of course it's useful. Buddha said that it can't be exposed. If there's a chance, I still need to get the 2 pieces from the Skyblade sect and Bishao Palace out as well," Yin Chujiu said with a smile. Seeing that Yin Chujiu was not willing to say anything more, Elder Chu did not continue asking. Yin Chujiu was very glad that it was just Spirit Radiance sect. If it was another sect, they would have forced her to speak, even if she did not want to tell. Yin Chujiu could not wait to return and feed the Great Void Mirror, so after saying a few words, she hurriedly sat on the chopping board and flew back to the dormitory. Chapter 647. Almost messed up Yin Chujiu returned to her dormitory and immediately activated the isolation formation plate. She began to chant according to the mantra that Furry had taught her last time. After Yin Chujiu finished reciting an obscure and complicated mantra, the fragment of the Great Void Mirror in her hand floated up, then disappeared between Yin Chujiu's brows. Yin Chujiu looked inside and indeed, another hole in the Great Void Mirror had been repaired. The mirror sensed Yin Chujiu's spiritual sense and trembled slightly with a trace of joy. Yin Chujiu glared fiercely at the strange grass, who was trying hard to reduce its presence, and then said to the Great Void Mirror, "Little mirror, be a good girl and help me look after this strange grass. I will definitely find the other 6 pieces of debris that you are missing." The Great Void Mirror trembled, obviously agreeing to Yin Chujiu's request. Strange grass in the corner was trembling with anger. "Damn it, you broken mirror. You don't have the dignity of a divine weapon at all, and were bought over by this stupid girl just like that." Yin Chujiu looked at the trembling grass and said fiercely, "Strange grass, I'm warning you, you better behave yourself. Otherwise, I'll give up my dantian and let the Great Void Mirror break you." Strange grass formed 4 leaves into 2 hearts, and shook them in a flattering manner. Yin Chujiu sneered in disdain. "Don't play this game with me, strange grass. If you know what's good for you, I might let you off in the future. If you still play dirty tricks on me, let's see who can beat who. Strange grass shook the heart-shaped leaves, still acting cute. Yin Chujiu glared at it, and then withdrew her spiritual sense. After Yin Chujiu withdrew her spiritual sense, the strange grass returned the leaves to normal, and then shook them at the Great Void Mirror. The Great Void Mirror ignored it. What was there to be proud of about this two-faced grass? After Yin Chujiu withdrew her spiritual sense, she summoned Furry. Furry, the fragment of the Great Void Mirror has been mended again. Can you level up the things you can make? Yes, Master. I can now take out demon beasts below level 3 and herbs below the yellow category, said the ball of yarn in a fawning manner. Yin Chujiu curled her lips. It's still too weak. Moreover, it's not worth much. I can only use it as a sacrifice. Looks like I have to continue to scam the fragment. Forget it, I'll cultivate first. I can't let that old witch look down on me. I'll strive to ascend to the Tianyuan continent as soon as possible. On that day, Yin Chujiu, who was cultivating, suddenly smacked her forehead. Oh no! She had forgotten an important matter. The 6 mighty elephants were still in her spiritual beast pouch. After such a long time had passed, she wondered if they had starved to death. Master Xianyuan and the others had forgotten about this matter. Yin Chujiu, this fellow, had completely forgotten about it too. Yin Chujiu hurriedly sent her spiritual sense into it. Fortunately, the 6 mighty elephants were smart. Seeing that Yin Chujiu had not let them out, they all went into hibernation. This way, they could persist for a period of time without eating or drinking. Yin Chujiu quickly got Furry to get a lot of low-level demon beasts from the Great Void Mystic Realm. After killing them, she stuffed them into the spiritual beast bag. The 6 mighty elephants smelled the smell of food and gradually woke up. Yin Chujiu said in her heart that she had to find an opportunity to go to the nearest demon beast forest. She had to do what she had promised. The opportunity came very quickly. Yin Chuzi and the others had reached a bottleneck in their cultivation, and they needed actual combat experience to surpass it. Thus, they accepted a gathering mission from the sect, and went to the nearest demon beast forest to gather Japanese irises. Yin Chuo came to look for Yin Chujiu to go with her, and Yin Chujiu followed obediently. Chapter 648. Picking Japanese irises. Master Xianyuan felt that the Heavenly Gate sect had just learned their lesson, and would not make any moves for the time being. Therefore, Yin Chujiu nodded her head in agreement when he spoke, but she asked Feng Ming, Gung Yi, and Shixian to follow her. Feng Ming and the other 2 naturally could not ask for more. They felt that although it was quite dangerous to follow junior sister Little Jiu, what cultivators needed the most was experience. If they had not followed her the last time, they would not have been able to break through so smoothly. The high-ranking group, along with Feng Ming and the other 2, had a total of 10 people leaving the Spirit Radiance sect in a mighty and imposing manner. Just as they left, Bai Moyu had someone pass the news to Su Yanran. Su Yanran then reported this matter to Du Gai. Master, this opportunity is truly rare. Should we make a move? Du Gai was somewhat hesitant. He had made many mistakes with Yin Chujiu, and each time, he had suffered great losses. Should we make a move this time? Master, we can't wear the sect's disciple uniforms and pretend to be itinerant cultivators. Even if we fail, the Spirit Radiance sect won't be able to blame us. Su Yanran said viciously. Yin Chujiu, there is no you with me around, and there is no me with you around. I must kill you. Du Gai felt that Su Yanran's words made sense, so he said, that darn girl is very crafty. The outcome might not be guaranteed if you guys go. I'll get Elder Zhang to bring a few elders to kill them. Su Yanran nodded. It was naturally best if she did not have to appear. Yin Chujiu, this time, you're dead for sure. Yin Chujiu did not know that danger was approaching. She borrowed a flying spirit tool from Master Xianyuan, and rushed to the forest with Feng Ming and the others. Half a day later, the group arrived at the nearest demonic beast forest. The Japanese iris plant was a middle-grade, black-category medicinal herb, and the guardian beast was the 2-tailed, scarlet flame fox. Although these foxes were Tier 4 demonic beasts, they could shoot fireballs to attack their enemies. Moreover, They could save their lives at a critical moment by breaking off their tail, so they were very difficult to deal with. Yin Chuzi and Yin Chuo were currently at the 9th level of the Spirit Enhancement Realm. Yin Chulu and Yin Chuki were at the 8th level, while Yin Chuba and Qing Si were at the 7th level Spirit Enhancement Realm. The cultivation speed of all 6 of them could be considered very fast among the disciples in the same batch. However, they were still lacking by a bit when compared to Bai Moyu and the other 2. Little Jiu, how do you think Scum and the others can cultivate so quickly? Bai Moyu is now at the 2nd level of the Spirit Cultivator Realm, and Bai Moru and Yin Chushan are also at the 1st level of the Spirit Cultivator Realm. Yin Chuki asked in puzzlement. 7th sister, cultivation is like building a house. It's not necessarily a good thing to cultivate too quickly. Their foundation isn't stable, and something will happen sooner or later. This fellow then added silently in her heart. Doesn't matter for a genius like me, doesn't though, hee. Yes. Junior sister Chuki, the most fearful thing about cultivation is to be impetuous. Your cultivation speed is already very fast. Don't be anxious and take your time, Shixian said from the side. Yin Chuki nodded and said with a smile. Actually, I'm already very satisfied with my current cultivation speed. I'm just a little curious. Thank you, senior brother Shixian. Shixian scratched his head and smiled. He thought to himself, Junior sister Jio's 7th sister is quite good-looking. She also speaks straightforwardly, unlike some female disciples who are pretentious and annoying. Everyone soon found a small patch of Japanese iris. Next to this small patch was the cave of the two-tailed scarlet flame fox. Although Yun Chujiu could easily deal with these foxes, in order to let Yun Chuzi and the others increase their combat experience, she told Feng Ming and the others not to help and let Yun Chuzi and the others deal with it themselves. Chapter 649. Be on guard against fire, theft, and your mother. Yun Chuzi and the others' spiritual power level was similar to the level of the two-tailed, scarlet flame fox, so the two sides could be considered evenly matched. Yin Chujiu was watching the battle with Feng Ming, and the other 2 with a smile. When the 6 of them were in danger, they would come to their rescue at any time. Yin Chujiu was very confident in her heart. If it did not work out, she still had 6 mighty elephants in her spirit beast pouch. If even that did not work, she still had An Feng. In short, it was safe. In the beginning, Yin Chuzi and the others were indeed a little flustered. After a period of fighting, they became confident and gradually gained the upper hand. Seeing that they were no match for the two-tailed, scarlet flame fox, they ran away after breaking one of their tails. Yin Chuzi and the others happily put away this small amount of Japanese irises. However, this time, the mission was to gather 200 stalks, and they were still far from completing the mission. That night, everyone found a place with shrubs to spend the night. After the bonfire was lit, everyone started chatting and laughing. Although Feng Ming and the other 2 were not very familiar with Yin Chuzi and the others, they were all young people, and they quickly became friends. Yin Chujiu secretly glanced at Yin Chu and Yin Chuki's graceful figures, and she thought sourly in her heart, what the fuck? Why had her first period not come yet? At this rate, when would she be able to have 5th sister and 7th sister's figures? Sob. Even Qing Si had curves, but she was still as flat as a piece of bread. The old witch called the gigolo back because she did not have good intentions. Perhaps she would use some lousy tricks like drugging him, so she had to give the gigolo some advice. Hence, she took out a voice transmission talisman and used her spiritual sense to say a few words to Di Baiming. On the other side, Di Baiming was being brainwashed by the palace mistress' demonic voice. There are so many candidates. Don't you like any of them? The fundamental sex Qin Mingzhu was not only good-looking, but also had a dignified and generous personality. There was also Medicine Valley's Bailey Yen, who was pretty and lively. There was also the Yin family's eldest daughter, Yin Xinlian, who not only had superb spiritual power, but was also proficient in array formations, and the palace mistress placed the portraits of the young ladies that she had high hopes for on the table, and introduced them to Di Baiming one by one. Di Baiming did not even lift his eyelids. His eyes were focused on his nose was focused on his mouth, and his mouth was focused on his heart. His attitude was correct, but whatever you said, I will pretend that I did not hear it. When the palace mistress saw that Di Biming was like a wooden board after she said so much, she immediately became angry. Biming, are you listening? Mother, I only have little Jiu in my heart. If you have the time in the future, you should use it to cultivate. Di Biming said expressionlessly. Little Jiu this, little Jiu that. What's so good about that little trash? Can that good-for-nothing even enter the top 100 of the Tianyuan Academy? It's simply a dream. Biming, I'm doing this for your own good. Look at the girls that I've chosen for you. Which one of them doesn't have a good family background, high spiritual power, and is beautiful? Any one of them is stronger than that little trash. Mother, just give up on this idea. Other than little Jiu, I want like anyone else. If you're done, I'm going back to the study. Di Biming said and was about to leave. The palace mistress slammed the table angrily. Biming, if you don't choose one to date today, I'll kill myself. Let everyone see how a dignified overlord like you can force your own mother to death. Just as the atmosphere was in a stalemate, the voice transmission talisman in Di Biming's storage ring started to vibrate. After Di Biming sent his divine sense in, he heard Yun Chujiu's sly voice. My dear Prince Charming, I miss you. You must remember to be on guard against fire, theft, and your mother. Chapter 650. We will never leave each other. The corners of Di Biming's eyes twitched violently, and the corners of his mouth curled up. Could this black thing have better timing? The palace mistress was shocked to find that her usually expressionless son actually revealed a doting smile. She was so angry that she gritted her teeth and asked, Who sent you the voice transmission talisman? Was it that little trash? What did she say? Di Biming was naturally not stupid enough to tell his mother what Yun Chujiu said. He said indifferently, Nothing. Little Jiu just told me to take care of my body and asked me to greet you on her behalf. Humph. Useless. That little trash can forget about entering our Di family. Di Biming rubbed his forehead helplessly. Mother, if I remember correctly, the maternal family is not a big cultivation clan. Back then, grandmother did not complain that your family background was not that great either. The palace mistress was stunned, then. She became angry out of embarrassment. You little bastard. You actually meddled in my affairs. Although my family background is ordinary, back then, there was never a top 10 on the Tianyuan Academy prodigy roll. Otherwise, would your father let leave those 3 shameless junior sisters to pursue me? Mother, is what you said true? Was it father who took the initiative to woo you? Di Biming took out a recording stone from his storage ring without batting an eyelid. Of course. I was the pearl of the Tianyuan Academy back then. There were countless disciples from prestigious families and senior brothers who pursued me. If it wasn't for your father who begged me for nothing, would I have been able to marry him? Mother, then what's with father's 3 junior sisters? Those 3 shameless little goblins. Each of them wanted nothing more than to cling on to your father. Fortunately, your father knew what mud and pearl meant. He didn't even bother with them. Mother, I didn't expect you to be so glorious back then. Father's 3 junior sisters just let it go so easily? They didn't come to look for father after that? Di Biming dug a hole without batting an eyelid. Those 3 bitches naturally wouldn't let it go so easily. They would write letters to your father whenever they had something to do. Tui. Would I let them have their way? I burnt every single letter they sent. Even the letters they wrote to your father in the past were all burned by me. The palace mistress said proudly. The corners of Di Biming's mouth curled up. Mother, I've recorded everything you said just now. If you continue to waste my time with these idiots' portraits in the future, I'll give this recording stone to father. I believe father will properly communicate with you. The palace mistress was speechless. It was not until Di Biming had walked far away that the palace mistress banged the table in anger. Unfilial son. That bastard. He dares to blackmail me. This bastard used to be straight as a board. How did he become so full of evil tricks? It must be the influence of that little trash. Those who get close to the vermilion bird will be red, and those who get close to the ink will be black. That little trash is full of evil tricks and a scoundrel. She cheated me out of 100,000 high-grade spirit stones and a white cashmere carpet. This is simply infuriating. Little trash. Just you wait. Although I can't kill you, I won't let you have it easy either. In a few days, I'll teach you a good lesson. Biming returned to the study room and took out a voice transmission talisman. He used his spiritual sense to say, I wish to obtain the heart of one woman, and we will never leave each other. Chujiu waited for a long time, but did not receive a reply from Biming. She was pouting and getting angry. When she heard Biming's low voice, her heart was filled with joy. This gigolo was flirting with her just because of a disagreement. It seemed that the words he read to her were not in vain. He had really opened his eyes. Chapter 651. This person can really talk nonsense, huh? There were only 5 voice transmission talismans. Chujiu could not bear to waste them, so she did not reply to Biming. Instead, she happily started to roast the meat with Feng Ming and the others. The next day, the progress was still very smooth. At their current pace, Chuzi and the others would be able to complete the mission in another day. That night, at midnight, Chujiu, who was sleeping soundly, was awakened by a small stone. Chujiu woke up with a jolt. Tonight was Feng Ming's night shift. Seeing that Chujiu had woken up, he asked curiously, Junior sister little Jiu, why are you awake? Did you have a nightmare? Chujiu shook her head. Senior brother Feng Ming, do you feel anything unusual? Feng Ming shook his head. No, everything is normal. Chujiu frowned. And Feng must have reminded her of the pebble just now. It was probably dangerous. Chujiu did not dare to be negligent, and hurriedly woke everyone up. Don't go back to sleep. Get up. I'm afraid there's going to be trouble. After everyone was woken up by Chujiu, they looked around blankly. The demonic beast forest was completely silent. There was nothing unusual. However, they were already used to listening to Chujiu's warnings, so they immediately became alert. Little Black, go and take a look at what's going on. Be careful. Chujiu let out Little Black Bird. Little Black Bird acknowledged and flapped its wings to fly out. After a few dozen breaths, Little Black Bird flew back. Master, there are people coming. There are about a dozen of them. It seems that their spiritual power is very high. They are all covered in masks. Could they be coming for you? Chujiu's heart sank. However, it was too late to run now. She could only fight back. A moment later, more than 10 men in black arrived and surrounded Chujiu and the others. Chujiu said timidly, Seniors, what does this mean? The leader of the men said with a hoarse voice, What does it mean? Of course, it means robbing people and killing them. Prepare to die. The man was about to attack when Chujiu cried out, Wait! I know a big secret that can make a fortune. Do you want to hear it? What big secret? The man's eyes showed a hint of greed. We found an underground mineral vein, and are going to report it to the sect. If you don't kill me, I will take you to find that mineral vein. Mineral vein? What mineral vein? The man was skeptical. It was true that some underground minerals were found in the demonic beast forest by chance, but the probability was very small. I'm not sure what kind of lode it is either. Anyway, there are many valuable ores. If you don't believe me, take a look for yourself. We just dug it up today. Chujiu took out a large pile of colorful ore from her storage ring and threw it to the men in black. Oh my god! Haze stone, pearl jade stone, and hibiscus stone? These are all high-grade ores. Oh my god, that mine can't be the legendary Huichui mine, right? It must be Huichui mine. Oh my god, we're going to be rich. These ores are even more valuable than spirit stone mines. Feng Ming and the other 2 secretly cursed in their hearts. Junior sister Jiu, you're really good at making up stories. These ores were clearly Little Black Rat's rations. How could there be a mine? The black-robed men greedily looked at the ores. A moment later, the leader of the black-robed men kept all the ores into his storage ring. He coldly said, Bring us to that ore vein immediately. If I find out that you're lying, I will let you have a taste of what it means to live a life worse than death. Chapter 652. Flaming Three-Tailed Fox. Chujiu said timidly, Then can you return those ores to me? We dug them out with great difficulty. Cut the crap, lead the way. The leader of the men in black was so angry that he was amused. Return them to you. Was this little girl stupid? Chujiu pouted and led the way slowly. At this moment, her heart was broken. Damn it, why am I so unlucky? Every time I think I can move on, I will meet people who want to kill me. Am I that unlikable? These 12 men in black should all have spiritual power at the level of a spiritual emperor. Even if I release the mighty elephant, I am still not their match. Should I use the concealment talisman? Just as Chujiu was hesitating, the leader of the men in black sneered at Chujiu and said, "Little girl, don't try to play any tricks. Even if you have the concealment talisman, you cannot escape from our hands. We have the concealment formation plate in our hands. Senior, why should I escape? After we find the vein, won't you let us go?" Chujiu blinked her eyes and asked in confusion. "Humph. At least you know what's good for you. Hurry up and move." The leader of the men in black pursed his lips. "Let you go? In your dreams. After you lead us to the vein, you will lose your lives." Chujiu was worried to death. She couldn't use the concealment talisman. Now she could only buy time and wait for the small amount of spirit-dispersing pills on the ores to take effect. Then she would work with Infeng to fight. However, their chances of winning were still slim. Therefore, to stall for time, Chujiu brought the black-clothed men around aimlessly. "Stinky girl, why do you always bring us to the inner layer of the demon beast forest? Is the mineral vein inside?" The leader of the black-clothed men asked suspiciously. "Yes, if we were in the outer layer, wouldn't we have been discovered long ago? We also angered a nest of mutated red crimson two-tailed foxes, and we discovered the mineral vein when we were running for our lives." Mutated crimson flame two-tailed foxes? That's right. When we were picking Durua grass the day before yesterday, we angered a nest of foxes. Those foxes all grew 3 tails. I reckon that those crimson flame two-tailed foxes have mutated. Chujiu said with uncertainty. "What? 3 tails? Isn't that an exotic beast, flaming 3-tailed fox? Where did you guys see it?" The leader of the black-clothed men revealed a greedy look in his eyes. The flaming 3-tailed fox was different from the crimson flame 2-tailed fox. It was an exotic beast that could continue to level up. Every time it grew a tail, the level of the exotic beast would increase by a large margin. If it grew 6 tails in the end, it would be an immortal beast. If it had 9 tails, it would be a divine beast. Then do you want to find the fox nest or the mineral vein first? They are in different directions. Besides, that fox nest is very powerful. If we hadn't run fast enough, we would have been burned to death. Chujiu patted her chest with lingering fear. Feng Ming and the others' faces were stiff. "Junior sister Little Jiu, we are completely convinced by you. Oh my god. How can you lie so naturally and convincingly? If we hadn't been with you all this time, we would have believed that there was a nest of so-called mutated flaming 3-tailed foxes." The black-clothed men discussed for a while. Since the mineral vein was there and they couldn't escape, it was better to find the exotic beast flaming 3-tailed fox first. "Bring us to that nest of 3-tailed foxes first, then come back to look for the mine," the leader of the men in black said to Chujiu. "All right, we've wasted this journey. Let's go. I'll bring you to look for the 3-tailed fox. However, when the time comes, you have to protect us well. That nest of foxes is not to be trifled with," Chujiu said timidly. Chapter 653. Luring the tiger away from the mountain. And Feng, who had stayed hidden all this time, admired Chujiu so much that he prostrated himself on the ground. This ability of Miss Jiu's was unrivaled in the world. Flaming 3-tailed fox? It just so happened that she used this as a catalyst to lure a few of them away. This way, Miss Jiu and the others would be able to kill a few of them first. Right. Let's do it this way. Chujiu strolled along with a group of people towards the place where they first discovered Duruotsao. Her plans were similar to Infeng's. She prayed in her heart that Infeng would be smarter and lure the tiger away from the mountain. We can still fight the rest. After walking for a while, everyone saw a red light flash in front of them. Chujiu cried out in surprise. 3-tailed fox. The men in black also saw the red shadow flash past them. A few men in black were tempted. One of them said to the leader of the men in black, "Let's go and take a look." The leader of the men in black thought that these little brats were no match for them. He was not afraid that they would play any tricks, so he nodded at the man. 5 of them chased after the red shadow. Chujiu calculated for a moment. Although there were 7 people left, they still had no chance of winning, but they had to give it their all. Otherwise, when the rest returned, they would have even less chance of winning. It was also because these men in black were too arrogant that they did not restrict Chujiu and the other's spiritual power. After Chujiu made her decision, she gave Fengming and the others a look. Fengming and the others understood and silently nodded. Chujiu looked at the leader of the men in black and said pitifully, "Senior, in fact, besides the ores that I gave you earlier, I still have some here. I will give them to you. You must let us go later." The leader of the men in black naturally would not believe it until he saw it. He sneered and said, "Show me." Chujiu nodded obediently, but a trace of slyness flashed through her lowered eyes. "Little fellow, you asked me to take it out. 1 piece. 2 pieces. 10 pieces. 100 pieces." Countless pieces of rare ores were brought out by Chujiu. The men in black were all dumbfounded. They originally thought that the little girl was talking about a few dozen pieces, but there were so many. The men in black revealed greedy expressions. They did not care about being modest, and did their best to hoard them in their storage rings. Chujiu moved upwind without batting an eyelid, and suddenly threw a few big sacks at the men in black. The men in black thought that they were fake and were about to keep it in their storage rings when they realized that a large amount of powder was released with a bang after the big sacks landed on the ground. These men in black had high spiritual power. Although they were caught off guard and inhaled a little, they immediately covered their noses and mouths. "Damn girl. You asked for it. Go. Leave one of them alive. Kill the rest." The leader of the men in black came back to his senses and flew into a rage. Chujiu kept hurling lightning while shouting, "In your dreams. Look at my secret weapon." Following Chujiu's words, 5 huge mighty elephants were released by Chujiu and rushed towards the 7 black-clothed men. Chujiu did not release the little elephant. The little one was still too weak. If it was injured, the big mighty elephants would be distracted. The 7 black-clothed men were shocked. How could this stupid girl have so many mighty elephants as her spiritual pets? Chujiu attacked with all her might while shouting at the mighty elephants, "Little babies, charge. As long as you kill them, I'll reward you with some good treasures. I guarantee that you'll be satisfied." Chapter 654. Best to end the battle as soon as possible. When the 5 mighty elephants heard Chujiu's words, they immediately felt motivated. The mighty elephants were originally fierce and aggressive. After being locked up for so many years, they finally had a chance to let loose. The last time they fought in the Zhuo family, they did not even have much of a chance to fight, so they held back all their energy. This time, they could vent their anger on these few humans. Chujiu was afraid that the 5 black-clothed men would come back. She kept fighting while encouraging the mighty elephants. If the 5 black-clothed men came back, these mighty elephants would be terrified. When that happened, things would take a turn for the worst. Taking advantage of the element of surprise, Chujiu suddenly activated the concealment talisman. She jumped behind a black-clothed man and threw a rolling pin at him. Although the man in black did not notice Chujiu, his spiritual power was still high. He sensed the sound of wind behind him and dodged Chujiu's rolling pin. However, he did not avoid the next few lightning strikes from Chujiu. The man in black screamed and fell to the ground dead. The leader of the men quickly activated the concealment disc, and Chujiu's figure appeared. "Stupid girl. You're dead." The leader of the black-clothed men threw a few wind blades at Chujiu. Clearly, he was overcome with anger and did not consider whether he should leave her alive or not. Although Chujiu dodged most of the wind blades, there were still a few that she could not dodge. However, fortunately, Chujiu had a defensive spirit tool on her, so she managed to block the wind blades. "You old fart. You're the one who's got a death wish. Little Jiu thunderclap." Chujiu put away her rolling pin, then shook her left and right hands continuously. Purple heavenly lightning continuously flew at the leading black-clothed man. The two sides started a chaotic battle. Chujiu fought against the leading black-clothed man. Chuzi and the other 6 people surrounded and attacked a black-clothed man. Ming and the other 2 people surrounded and attacked a black-clothed man. 3 8th-level mighty elephants surrounded and attacked a black-clothed man. 2 9th-level mighty elephants were attacking 1 black-clothed man each. Both sides were evenly matched. Although the opponent's spiritual power was high, Chujiu had the advantage in numbers. However, once the other 5 men returned, this advantage would disappear completely. Therefore, Chujiu was extremely anxious. This stalemate was not a solution. They had to end the battle quickly. Xiaohei, go help Asan and the others. Try to get rid of that black-clothed man as soon as possible. Chujiu said to the little black bird with her spiritual sense. The little black bird flapped its wings and flew above the black-clothed man who was besieged by the 3 8th-level mighty elephants. It threw a huge fireball at the man. The black-clothed man leaped and dodged the fireball. The nose of a mighty elephant swung over. He hurriedly dodged again, but he did not expect the huge tusks of another mighty elephant to stab at where he landed. He quickly leaped and dodged again. Originally, he could not handle the 3 mighty elephants. Now that there was another little black bird shooting fireballs at him, he was at a complete disadvantage. Chujiu had sprinkled a lot of spirit-dispersing pills on the oars. At this time, the effects of the pills began to take effect. These black-robed men noticed that their spiritual power slowly drained away. A moment later, the black-robed man was hit in the shoulder by the little blackbird's fireball. Following that, he was pierced through the abdomen by the tusks of a mighty elephant and died on the spot. Chujiu was overjoyed and said to the elephants, 3rd, 4th and 5th, help your eldest deal with the enemy. Let's end this quickly. The leader of the black-robed men immediately felt that things were not looking good. If this went on, they would be wiped out. He shouted, retreat. We'll deal with this brat after meeting up. Chapter 655. Sacrifice myself. Following the leader's words, the remaining 4 black-clothed men stopped fighting and threw out a few explosive talismans. They took advantage of Chujiu and the others' panic to escape. Chujiu stomped her foot. Fuck. If Infeng had killed a few of the 5 men, it would have been fine. If he hadn't, they would have regrouped and would be troublesome to deal with if they returned. She used only a few spirit-dispersing pills on the oars, so the effects would wear off in a while. Moreover, when they returned, the mighty elephants would not do the same. Without the help of the elephants, wouldn't they just be waiting for death? Chujiu frowned. No matter how high Infeng's spiritual power was, he could not defeat 5 people. It would be good enough if he managed to kill one. She had to think of something quickly. It was obviously not feasible to go back and get reinforcements. It would take almost a day, so by the time the reinforcements arrived, they would already be dead. What should she do? She was worried to death. Before Chujiu could think something, Infeng ran over and said, Miss Jiu, I managed to get rid of those 5 people, but they put up a fight. Have you dealt with the rest? Chujiu said with a bitter face. I only killed 2, and the rest escaped. My gamble did not pay off. I even sacrificed a lot of precious ores. Everyone was so angry that they were twitching. Despite the situation, you still focused on the ores. You almost lost your life, but money is still your priority. Miss Jiu, how many more concealment talismans do you have? Only 2 left. I forgot to ask my Prince Charming for more this time. Chujiu took out the 2 remaining talismans. I only have 2 left, why don't you, Miss Jiu? Feng's meaning was very obvious. He wanted Chujiu to activate the concealment talismans and escape. Although the black-clothed man had a concealment disc, its range was limited. As long as Chujiu was careful, she could escape. Chujiu shook her head. Feng, I understand what you mean. You don't have to say it. I won't do that. Feng and the others also understood Feng's intention. They advised, Junior sister little Jiu, we will fight while we can. You don't have to consider our situations. You should leave. Yes, little Jiu. If you escape, you might be able to survive. It's better than all of us dying together. That's right. Little Jiu, hurry up and leave. Otherwise, when they return, we won't be able to leave. Yin Chujiu glared at them. Even if I really could, do you think I'll be able to live in peace for the rest of my life? Stop talking. It's more important to think of a way out quickly. Seeing Yin Chujiu's resolute attitude, everyone gave up trying to persuade her. Miss Jiu, there are still 10 people on the other side. We really don't have a chance of winning. If things turn dire, I'll sacrifice myself and self-destruct. When the time comes, all of you should quickly retreat after I give you the signal. Enfeng gritted his teeth and said. Yin Chujiu sent Enfeng flying with a kick. Of course, this kick did not use any spiritual power, she said fiercely. Is there something wrong with you? You always end up wanting to sacrifice yourself to help me. Can't you think of a way that doesn't involve giving up your life? Idiot. Enfeng was not angry after being kicked and scolded repeatedly. Instead, his heart warmed. His value came from his willingness to die for his master at the critical moment. Whether it was them or their masters, they never felt that there was anything wrong with that. Now that Yin Chujiu valued his life so much, Enfeng's nose felt a little sore. He stood up and did not say anything. However, he swore in his heart that he would protect Miss Jiu's life no matter what. Chapter 656. Demonic Beast Stampede. Just as Yin Chujiu was frowning, a mighty elephant gently touched her with its big trunk. Yin Chujiu looked at it in confusion. The mighty elephant cried out in displeasure, and dug its huge hooves into the ground. Only then did Yin Chujiu come to a realization. She had previously said that if she killed those people, she would reward them. Yin Chujiu took out 2 bottles of superior-grade explosive spirit pills, and fed them to the 5 mighty elephants. These mighty elephants, they were instantly dumbfounded, had never eaten such a magical thing as spirit pills before. Oh my, what exotic food is this? How did they eat it? The spiritual energy was surging into their bodies. It felt amazing. The 5 mighty elephants were obviously not satisfied. They whimpered at Yin Chujiu, which meant that they wanted more. Yin Chujiu was not in the mood to pay attention to them. She took out 2 more bottles and threw them at the elephants, then continued to think. After the 5 mighty elephants were finished, they still wanted more. However, when they saw Yin Chujiu's frown, they could only tactfully stand by the side and not say a word. Stupid girl, I didn't expect that there was another person among you. We actually fell for your trick. Moreover, you did something to those oars. You're craftier than we thought. However, no matter how cunning you are, you can't escape from our grasp. I'm afraid that the 3-tailed fox and the Huichui mineral vein were all made up after all. Damned girl, prepare to die. The leader of the black-clothed men returned with the rest of his men. Moreover, it was obvious that after taking the antidote of the spirit-dispersing pill, their spiritual energy had been restored. There was nothing more to say now. At this moment, the other party was on guard. No matter what tricks Yin Chujiu had, it was of no longer any use for her. Both sides began a chaotic battle. The black-clothed men's strength was much higher, and Yin Chujiu's side quickly fell into a disadvantageous position. Ah! After Yin Chujiu heard a scream, she turned her head and saw that Yin Chuzi was sent flying by a black-clothed man's palm and crashed into a tree. Immediately after, Yin Chua's arm was cut by the black-clothed man, and immediately, fresh blood soaked through her clothes. Before Yin Chujiu could recover from her shock, almost all of her people were wounded, and a few of them were lying on the ground, their fate unknown. Stupid girl, aren't you full of tricks? Let's see what else you can come up with this time. The leader of the men in black was very pleased with himself and stepped up his attacks. Yin Chujiu looked around. Other than her and Enfeng, who could still held on, the rest were injured, including the 5 mighty elephants whose bodies were also covered in blood. Yin Chujiu was angry and anxious. If she couldn't think of something soon, they would all die here. At this moment, everyone heard the earth-shattering roars coming from the depths of the demonic beast forest. Yin Chujiu and the others, or the men in black, were all shocked. What was going on? The demonic beasts were rampaging? The ground began to tremble. Clearly, a large group of demonic beasts were surging over here. The leader of the men in black panicked. Before the beast tide erupted, Why did the demonic beasts suddenly start rampaging? A demonic beast stampede was not a joke. Not to mention us, even a 9th layer of the Spirit Emperor realm practitioner could not withstand so many demonic beasts at once. Although he was unwilling to let Chujiu and the others go, compared to his own life, killing Chujiu was not that important. Therefore, he said to the other black-robed men, "Let's retreat and come back for them later." The other men in black had long lost the will to fight. Hearing his words, they quickly ran out of the monster forest. Chapter 657. The strange grass has done a meritorious deed. Seeing that they had left, Chujiu quickly ran to the people lying on the ground. After checking their breathing, she finally heaved a sigh of relief. Although they were injured, their lives were not in danger for the time being. Chujiu quickly took out heaven-grade blood coagulation pills and fed it to them. Then she asked Feng, "What should we do? If we go out, we will die. If we stay here, we will also die." Feng frowned. He said doubtfully, "Miss Jiu, logically speaking, before the beast tide breaks out, why would the demonic beasts suddenly start rampaging? Why don't we get on the backs of the mighty elephants to survey the situation first? Even if the demonic beasts stampede, the mighty elephant's huge body will not suffer too much." Chujiu nodded and said with admiration, "Feng, your idea is pretty good. We will do as you say." Chujiu took out the blood coagulation pills and fed them to a few mighty elephants. Then she said to them, "This time it's all thanks to you. Don't worry, I Chujiu am not an ungrateful person. I will definitely repay you properly in the future." The eldest elephant called out a few times in a low voice as a response to Chujiu. Chujiu called everyone to get on the back of the mighty elephants. Then, she was on full alert as she waited for the demonic beast stampede to arrive. However, after a long time, the demonic beasts did not appear. Moreover, the roars of the demonic beasts and the shaking of the ground gradually disappeared. Everyone was puzzled. What was going on? Chujiu suddenly had a thought. After she sent her spiritual sense into her dantian, as expected, the strange grass was proudly waving 4 leaves to claim credit. "Strange grass, well done. I didn't expect that you were getting more and more powerful. Seems like now you can summon high-level beasts. Unfortunately, it seems like you can't make them listen to you yet. Otherwise, it would be awesome." Chujiu praised the strange grass. Although she knew that the strange grass was a vessel to protect her, she still smoothed the strange grass fur. The leaves of the strange grass trembled a few times. Although Chujiu did not quite understand, she felt that the strange grass was not convinced, so she asked, "Could it be that you can make them listen to you?" The leaves of the strange grass nodded and shook again. Chujiu guessed, "Do you mean that you can't do it now, but it's possible in the future?" The leaves of the strange grass trembled proudly. Chujiu's heart was both happy and worried. She was happy that the strange grass ability could be of greater help to her in the future, yet worried that the strange grass would become more powerful to the point she would not be able to get rid of it. However, no matter what, the strange grass was indeed of great help this time. Otherwise, she would have already been killed. Feng, send a message to the Yin Mansion's secret guards and ask them to come over to support us. We will hide in this demonic beast forest for the time being. Those black-clothed people should not dare come in for the time being, Chujiu said to Feng. "Miss Jiu, I already sent a message to them when I found these people. We only need to hold on for another 4 hours, and they will get here," Feng said. Chujiu nodded. "Then we will continue to walk into the demonic beast forest. As long as we don't encounter a large group of high-level demonic beasts, we should be able to deal with them. We'll leave when the reinforcements arrive." Chujiu let the mighty elephants walk into the demonic beast forest. She was prepared to wait for the Yun residence's secret guards to arrive before leaving. Another 2 hours passed. As expected, those black-clothed men did not dare to rashly enter again. Chujiu's heart relaxed quite a bit. As long as she persisted for another 2 hours, help would arrive. Right at that moment, a sudden change occurred. The demonic beast forest once again emitted an earth-shaking roar. Chapter 658. I didn't do it this time. Yin Chujiu was so angry that she used her spiritual sense to curse at the strange grass. Strange grass. Stop. There are no enemies now. Why did you summon them here? The strange grass shook its leaf aggrievedly. It meant that it really was not its doing. Yin Chujiu's paws went numb. Fuck, did the beast tide come for real this time? Everyone hold on tight, don't fall off the elephants. Yin Chujiu warned everyone loudly. She cursed in her heart. It would be great if the flying spiritual device could take off here. One day, she would develop a flying spirit tool that looked like a helicopter. The kind that could take off from a small piece of flat ground. The strange grass could only disperse the demon beasts it had attracted. It had no way of dealing with these uninvited demon beasts. Now it didn't want to show off anymore. It prayed in its heart that this wretched girl would not be killed by the demon beasts. Otherwise, its little life would be over. A moment later, a large group of demonic beasts rushed out from the depths of the demonic beast forest. Fortunately, the mighty elephant was huge. It was not at a disadvantage, but it could only run along with these demonic beasts. If it stopped there and did not move, no matter how large its body was, it would not be able to withstand the impact of the large number of demonic beasts. Fortunately, Yin Chujiu had experienced it once before, so she was quite familiar with it. She constantly reminded the other people on the backs of the other 4 elephants to grab hold of them and not fall. In the beginning, everyone was still together, but the forest of demonic beasts was full of trees. As they ran, they were scattered. After daybreak, the wild demonic beasts retreated. Anfeng and the others also met at the periphery of the forest. Moreover, the secret guards who had rushed over from the Yun mansion had arrived, much to the group's relief. However, when they counted the number of people, they found that 1 person and a mighty elephant were missing. Yin Chujiu and the big beast that she was on had disappeared. Anfeng immediately felt numb. It would be fine if they were missing, but where did this Miss Jiu run off to? Could it be that she had been captured by those black-clothed people? Anfeng's brain spun faster. Although he did not have Yin Chujiu's voice transmission talisman, Di Biming did. Hence, Anfeng hurriedly sent a voice transmission talisman to Di Biming, asking him to contact Yin Chujiu. A moment later, Di Biming sent a message to Anfeng. Yin Chujiu did not reply to him, and ordered him to hurry up and find her. Anfeng was in a dilemma. If he withdrew his men and went to find Yin Chujiu, the rest of them would be in trouble if they encountered the men in black. However, if he went to look for her alone, how could he find her in such a huge demonic beast forest? The 4 mighty elephants were also howling anxiously. Their companions and little elephants were still with the little girl, so they must not get into any trouble. Why was it so difficult to go home? Fortunately, at this time, the Spirit Radiance sex reinforcements had also arrived. It turned out that when Anfeng had sent the message, he had asked a part of his men to come over to support him. He had also sent a secret guard to deliver the message to the Spirit Radiance sect. Master Xianyuan hurriedly asked Elder Xiao to bring a few elders along. Anfeng handed Feng Ming and the others over to Elder Xiao and the others. Then he led the secret guards to search for Yin Chujiu's whereabouts. 2 hours later, Anfeng found the eldest elephant, who was using its huge hooves to dig the ground. When Eldest saw Anfeng, he cried out and kept hitting the ground with his nose. Anfeng did not understand. He thought for a moment and asked tentatively, "Did Miss Jiu fall here?" The mighty elephant nodded vigorously. He watched Yin Chujiu fall, but in the blink of an eye, the hole had disappeared. It was fine if the little girl was dead, but his son was still in her spiritual beast bag. Chapter 659. An actual 3-tailed fox Anfeng, and the others immediately began digging. The more they dug, the more frustrated they became. There was no sign of loosening in the soil, so how could there be a cave entrance here? Could this mighty elephant have remembered the wrong place? Even the mighty elephant began to doubt itself. Could it be that it had gone to the wrong location? Anfeng and the others had no choice. On one hand, they sent people to guard the place, and on the other, they continued to search for Yin Chujiu's whereabouts. Yin Chujiu, who was worrying by everyone, was looking at the group of foxes in front of her with a dumbfounded expression. Fuck. Who could tell her that she was infected by little black bird as Crow's mouth? Why did she fall into the fox cave? In a three-tailed fox cave? At that time, Chujiu jumped off the back of the mighty elephant. Before she could stand, a large hole appeared on the ground. A white light flashed in front of her eyes. And then she found that she had fallen into a huge cave. Before he could react, he was surrounded by several flaming three-tailed foxes. These three-tailed foxes were drooling as they looked at Chujiu. They looked as if they were going to tear her apart and eat her up immediately. Chujiu shivered. Was she that delicious? She waved her hands. I'm sorry. I'm just passing by. I'll leave now. The leader of the three-tailed foxes started to howl. The rest of the foxes started to howl as well. Chujiu felt that the howls were a little ear-piercing, and her head started to feel dizzy. Fortunately, the strange grass used its leaves to exert a cooling effect on Chujiu's spirit to help her regain consciousness. Oh shit. The cries of the foxes were seductive. They were very difficult to deal with. Chujiu secretly took out the hidden amulet, then used spiritual power to stimulate it for a long time, but did not succeed. She was on the verge of tears. It's over. She was not killed by those men in black, nor was she trampled to death by the demon beast Tide. She was going to die in the hands of the fox. It was her own made-up three-tailed fox. Fellow fox brothers, let's discuss this properly. Stop shouting for a while. It's so tiring. While laughing, Chujiu secretly observed the surrounding terrain. She was prepared to charge out first after she succeeded in her attack. Seeing that Chujiu was not hit, the flaming three-tailed fox king's stone-like eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. Then she arched her body and made a posture as if she was going to attack and bite. The flaming three-tailed fox king opened its mouth and was about to give the order to attack, but Chujiu quickly threw out the corpse of a windblade rabbit. She was purely trying to stall for time. It was unexpected that the flaming three-tailed fox king only hesitated for a moment before it began to bite into the windblade rabbit impatiently. The rest of the flaming three-tailed foxes kept drooling, but they did not dare to snatch the food from the fox king. Chujiu's heart skipped a beat. There was a problem. There was a huge problem. Logically speaking, these flaming three-tailed foxes were all level 7 demonic beasts, and the fox king was at least level 8. How could it look like it had not eaten for hundreds of years? It was truly unbelievable. Chujiu wanted to test it out, so she threw out another windblade rabbit. The fox king hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he still pulled the windblade rabbit to the other 10 or so foxes. The 10 or so foxes immediately began to bite and fight, as if they have not eaten meat in centuries. Chujiu was pleasantly surprised. It seemed that her guess was right. These flaming three-tailed foxes must have been hungry for a long time. She had an inexhaustible supply of demon beast corpses, so she could use this to buy time. Chujiu threw out the corpses of 10 wind-edge rabbits. Then she said to the flaming three-tailed fox king, "Brother Fox, I don't have anything else. There is plenty of demon beast meat. As long as you don't hurt me, I will provide you with food. How about it?" Chapter 660. Making a fortune. The flaming three-tailed fox king did not hesitate at all. She could not wait to nod her head. Chujiu was even more puzzled. Oh my god, what on earth is going on? Although the level 7 demonic beasts in the demonic beast forest did not have a particularly high level of spiritual power, it was not a problem for them to hunt for food. Moreover, these flaming three-tailed foxes had a natural talent for seduction. How could they have fallen to such a state? Chujiu fed the flaming three-tailed foxes 2 wind-edge oxen. The foxes all had satisfied expressions on their faces, and the way they looked at Chujiu was much gentler. It was not that Chujiu had not thought of tampering with the corpses of the demonic beasts, but the current situation was a little strange. These flaming three-tailed foxes were aborigines, so it was better to observe the situation first. Chujiu took advantage of the time when the foxes were eating and drinking to size up the cave. The cave meandered into the distance, and there seemed to be light shooting in. She didn't know where it led to. "Brother Fox, you guys have been hungry for a long time?" Chujiu probed the flaming three-tailed fox king. The flaming three-tailed fox king nodded. Its originally fiery red fur became even redder. It was obvious that it had been embarrassed at its situation. A magnificent exotic beast was actually going to starve to death. If word got out, it would be laughed at to death by the other demonic beasts. Although Chujiu wanted to laugh in her heart, her face was solemn. Brother Fox, how is this possible? You guys are so powerful. How can you starve? The fur on the Fox King's body was an even darker blood-like red. It struggled for a moment before turning around and running towards a bright spot, indicating for Chujiu to follow. Chujiu inexplicably followed the Fox King. The other foxes also followed, surrounding Chujiu in the middle and escorting her. Chujiu cursed in her heart. No wonder foxes were said to be the most cunning. These foxes were afraid that she would escape, so they never let down their guard. After walking for more than an hour, they finally walked out of the cave. When Chujiu saw the scene in front of her, she could not help but be stunned. After being stunned for a while, she almost burst into laughter. Oh God! I will never scold you again. So my previous bad luck was all for this moment of brilliance. Ha ha ha. I'm rich. I'm rich. In front of her was a huge mineral vein. On the surface, one could see all kinds of colorful precious ores, just like a rainbow in the sky. Meteor. This was the Hui Chui mine that those men in black were talking about. Oh my God. My mouth is wide open now. Whatever I wish for is coming true. With this Hui Chui mine, little black rat no longer had to worry about its rations. That old witch even said that I was going for the pretty boy's money. In the future, I will use these ores to smash her to death. I will show her how rich a person can be. Chujiu had a pickaxe in her storage ring. She had completely forgotten about the current situation. She took out the pickaxe and started to dig. First, she would recover the losses that the men in black had taken away from her. Then she would start to profit from the rest. The flaming three-tailed foxes were stunned. Are you really ignoring our existence? When did we ask you to start mining? The flaming three-tailed fox king cried out a few times. It was only then that Chujiu, who was immersed in her dream of making a fortune, was awakened. She laughed dryly. Brother Fox, please forgive me. I am someone that dies for money just like birds die for food. It is in my nature. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. The flaming three-tailed fox king looked at Chujiu with disdain. Stupid human. Although this broken stone was pretty, what use was it? Could it be eaten? Could it be drunk? It was good-looking but useless. Chapter 661. Only 40 years the flaming three-tailed fox king looked at the beautiful ores and felt a river of sadness in his heart. It was a bitter and painful experience. Chujiu was angered by the fox king's disdainful look. Damn it, you little bastard. How dare you look down on me? This is outrageous. If it wasn't for me, you would still be hungry. What's so awesome about it? However, this fellow only dared to be angry in her heart, and did not show it on her face as she asked, Brother Fox, what does this mine have to do with you guys being hungry? The flaming three-tailed fox king's gaze became even more contemptuous, as if it was beneath it to answer. Chujiu was so depressed that she almost vomited blood. However, after weighing the pros and cons, she decided to swallow her anger. Since the other party did not say anything, she could only think about it herself. She rubbed her chin and gradually, her thoughts became clearer. When she fell in, a white light flashed in front of her eyes. It was probably because she had activated some kind of formation or something. That was why she fell into this cave. At the end of the cave was a mineral vein. It was a completely sealed space. These foxes might have been in the same situation as her. They might have been unintentionally teleported in, but they could not find a way out. Therefore, they could only wait for death there. It was just that they did not know how long they had fallen in for. Did you guys barge in here by mistake too? Chujiu probed the Fox King. The flaming three-tailed Fox King nodded. This little human girl isn't completely dumb after all. Damn it. Back then, when I led these subordinates, they were so powerful. In the first 2 levels of the demonic beast forest, they were unimpeded and were the kings and overlords. Even the demonic beasts on the 3rd level did not dare to provoke them. Who would have thought that in order to chase after a group of windblade rabbits, They would be unlucky enough to fall into this place. It was really impossible for them to get out even if they tried all kinds of methods. Fortunately, this king was smart enough to get everyone to go into hibernation. That was why they did not starve to death. If not for this little human girl falling in, who knows how long they would have slept. How long have you fallen in? Yin Chujiu continued to ask. The flaming three-tailed fox king stretched out a claw. Yin Chujiu asked, for years? The fox king revealed a disdainful expression. Yin Chujiu cursed in her heart. You stinky fox, you are about to starve to death. Why are you still acting? Yin Chujiu could only ask again. Could it be 40 years? The flaming three-tailed fox king finally nodded. Yin Chujiu revealed a look of despair. They actually could not find an exit even after 40 years. The fox king was very puzzled. It was only 40 years. Why was this little girl so surprised? Exotic beasts could live up to 10,000 years. What was a mere 40 years? Yin Chujiu sat down on the ground. Damn it. These foxes could not find a way out even after 40 years. Could she do it? Should she ask the gigolo? However, since the concealment talisman did not work, the voice transmission talisman would definitely be useless. Yin Chujiu took out the voice transmission talisman and tried it. Sure enough, it did not work. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that her chances of finding the exit were slim. This meta-or is so valuable. The person who designed the formation must design the most difficult formation to crack. With my half-baked skills, it's impossible to crack it. Sob sob. The gigolo had even told her 2 nights ago that he was only willing to be with one person, and would never leave her side. Now she was unlucky enough to fall into this hole. Damn it. In more than 5 years, that old witch would force the gigolo to marry a wife, let alone 40 years. Sob sob. It was not easy for her to raise a husband's slave, but now the other girls would take advantage of her. She was really unhappy. Chapter 662. You are a big liar. Yin Chujiu abandoned herself to despair for a while. And then she was revived again. Damn. She was a little pest that could not be killed even by lightning. She did not believe that she could not find a way out. Therefore, this girl began to knock around and use her half-baked knowledge of arrays to find a way out. At the beginning, the three-tailed foxes of Lai Yin looked at Yin Chujiu with anticipation. The flaming three-tailed fox king looked at Yin Chujiu's professional look and thought to itself, this human girl looks decent. Maybe she can really find a way out. I have to admit that humans are indeed smarter than demon beasts. In the blink of an eye, 10 days passed. The foxes went about their business. This little girl was obviously impressive looking but useless. She did not find anything even after such a long time. If it was not for the fact that she had provided them with food and water, they would have eaten her long ago. You are a fucking liar, and a fraud. The Fox King decided to take back what it had said earlier. Teasing. Humans are just so. They're not as smart as demon beasts. Yin Chujiu had lost her gusto again. She could only use her pickaxe to dig for minerals to comfort her miserable mood. Fortunately, there was an endless supply of water and food in the Great Void Mystic Realm. It would not be a problem for her to live there for a few hundred years. However, she did not want to die with the foxes. When the Fox King heard Yin Chujiu's muttering, it curled its lips in disdain. We will not die with you. If you cannot provide us with food, we will eat you. Then, we will continue to hibernate and wait for the next unlucky person. At that moment, Yin Chujiu's heart was half as bright as spring and half as cold as ice and snow. Naturally, she was overjoyed to have dug out many precious ores. However, when she thought about how she had no place to spend her money, she immediately became listless. Fortunately, after the incident with the deathly aura, this fellow's willpower had become much stronger. After a few days of hesitation and depression, she began to revive to full health. This fellow had set a strict schedule for herself. Apart from eating and sleeping, she spent 1/3 of her time mining, 1/3 of her time searching for the formation's core, and 1/3 of her time fighting with the flaming three-tailed foxes. The foxes abandoned their moral dignity for food. They unwillingly became Yin Chujiu's sparring partner. In any case, Yin Chujiu had a lot of medicinal pills in her hands. Even if she accidentally injured those foxes, she let them consume medicinal pills to treat their injuries. At first, these foxes did not look up to Chujiu at all. Later, they realized that this little girl was much stronger than she looked, and was not in the 8th level at all. Damn it, this little girl is a big liar. Chujiu was at the 7th level of the spirit cultivator realm, and these foxes were tier 7 demon beasts. Their spiritual power was basically the same. However, Chujiu, this little pervert, was able to deal with one fox with ease. Later on, it became a fight between one person and 2 foxes. These foxes were motivated by their desire to win, and they fought with Chujiu every day. When Chujiu was fighting with the flaming 3-tailed foxes, she did not show any evil intentions. She relied entirely on the lightning strike and her swift movements to fight with them. As time passed, Chujiu felt that although her spiritual power had not leveled up, her control of the lightning spiritual power was more skillful, and her movements were also more agile. After a month, Chujiu was not at a disadvantage even when fighting with 5 foxes. She mocked herself in her heart. It seemed that it was not a bad thing to fall into the fox cave. At least her actual combat ability had greatly improved. Chapter 663. Breaking the formation with lightning. The flaming 3-tailed fox king saw that Chujiu's actual combat ability had improved so much, and it had a glimmer of hope that Chujiu would be able to find a way out. This little girl had a heavenly thunder root spirit, and she was so smart. She would definitely be able to find a way out. However, its hope was shattered once again. Another month passed. Although Chujiu's storage ring had more and more precious ores, and she would not be at a disadvantage even against the 7 flaming 3-tailed foxes, she still had not found a way out. The Fox King was completely disappointed. Her heavenly root spirit is only SOSO. Humph. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have had any hope for her. What a waste. Chujiu, on the other hand, became calmer and calmer. In the end, she simply stopped looking for a way out. The flaming 3-tailed fox king thought to himself, looks like this little girl was prepared to give up. Then they will just follow her and wait for death. It was unknown how much food there was in this little girl's storage ring. If the food ran out, it would eat this little girl. Although there was a slight loss of affection for their friendship in those few days, in order to survive, one could not blame the Fox King for being heartless. 2 months later, Chujiu stopped looking for the foxes to fight. She knew the moves of these foxes too well. There would be no more gains even if they continued fighting. Chujiu began to focus on her cultivation every day. The flaming 3-tailed fox king scoffed at her. Is this little girl crazy? You have the heavenly thunder root spirit, but there is no thunder here. What are you cultivating for? This was the first time Chujiu was so focused on her cultivation. She slowly converted the power of lightning from the strange grass into her own. She constantly combed the thunder spiritual force in her body, allowing it to continuously cleanse the meridians in her body. The Fox King saw Chujiu cultivating every day, and was as curious as a cat. This little girl can actually cultivate? How is this possible? This little girl is really too difficult for me to understand. As time passed, the lightning spiritual energy in Chujiu's body quickly gathered. She felt that it was about time. Brother Fox, I will go to the mine in a while to break through. You guys stay far away from me to avoid getting hurt. Chujiu said to the flaming 3-tailed Fox King. The Fox King was dumbfounded. This little girl wanted to break through here? Is she crazy? Breaking through required a large amount of lightning spiritual energy. Where would you get it? Besides, what does it matter to us? The Fox King did not think much of it. He calmly squatted beside Chujiu, ready to watch the show. Seeing this, Chujiu did not say much. It was hard to persuade the damn fox. In a while, you will know why I asked you to avoid me. However, Chujiu was not too sure. Back when she was in the fire cave when she contracted the fire spirit beast, the heavenly lightning only struck her after she left. She did not know if the heavenly lightning would directly strike down if she broke through there. Even if it did not, the dark clouds would gather together abnormally. Perhaps it could give the gigolo some hints, allowing him to quickly lock onto her position and save her. She really had no other choice. The formation there was most likely left behind from ancient times. Even Elder Chu and the others could not break it at all. They could only rely on the power of the heavenly lightning to destroy the formation core. Yin Chujius accumulated lightning spiritual energy, could have broken through to the Spirit Emperor realm a long time ago. However, she was afraid that her foundation would not be stable, so she had not made a breakthrough. Yin Chujiu had specially strengthened her meridians during this period of time, in order to make preparations for breaking through to the Spirit Emperor realm. Chapter 664. Little Jiu was too smart. The reason why Yin Chujiu chose to break through near the mineral vein was that this fellow was prepared to kill two birds with one stone. When the heavenly lightning struck down, it would be equivalent to helping her mine the mineral vein. Thinking about it, would it not be beautiful? When the time came, she would have escaped and made a fortune. She was really too smart. Yin Chujiu sat cross-legged and began to break through. During these 4 months, Yin Chujiu had a good time. Outside, Debaiming's days felt like years. How did this person disappear into thin air? Eldest was questioned by Debaiming countless times. In the end, it felt that there was something wrong with its brain. Could it be that during the process of avoiding the beast stampede, the little girl fell off its back and was trampled to death? That did not make sense. Even if the corpse was eaten by the demon beasts, there would not be no traces left behind. Debaiming thought for a moment, and felt that Yin Chujiu had most likely activated the array formation by accident. He asked Enfeng to invite Elder Chu over to take a look. Enfeng sighed. Miss Jiu, you can actually activate the array formation in the demon beast forest. This is really bad luck. Elder Chu inspected it a few times, but did not find any traces of the array formation. Young Master Di, am really incompetent. I could not find any traces of the array formation at all. Elder Chu, don't blame yourself too much. The array formation here might have been left behind by a mighty figure in the past. Debaiming frowned. For now, the only thing he could do was to let his master check it out. Unfortunately, the old man of Lake Tianqi did not reply to Debaiming. Debaiming was as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. He did not dare to dig recklessly. If he destroyed the array core, little Jiu would not be able to come back. Debaiming had no choice but to take Enfeng and the others to set up camp here and wait for news from the old man. The palace master's wife urged him a few times, so Debaiming had no choice but to tell her the news of Yin Chujius' accident. The palace master's wife asked Debaiming to calm down. Maybe things would turn around. Debaiming was a little surprised. His mother said she hated little Jiu, but unexpectedly, she was pretty nice about this. How would he know that after the palace mistress put away the voice transmission talisman? She could not stop smiling. That little trash is actually dead? The heavens are really fair. Speaking of which, the heavens do not tolerate the heavenly thunder root spirit. Sooner or later, it would kill her. This stubborn man, Baiming, would definitely be sad for a while. However, time was the best medicine. As time passed, he would naturally forget about it. When the time came, she would introduce a few good girls to him. And then she would just have to wait to have a grandson. Haha, it was great that the little trash died. Debaiming had just put away his voice transmission talisman when he noticed that a large amount of thick and heavy dark cloud was gathering there. Debaiming was stunned. And then he was ecstatic. Little Jiu was still alive. In the entire world, the only one who could make the heavens send out such a large amount of heavenly lightning was little Jiu. This meant that the black thing must be nearby, but because of the formation, they could not find her. Debaiming understood Yin Chujius' intention after some thought. Little Jiu must be breaking through somewhere. The reason why she did this was probably to use the power of the heavenly lightning to destroy the formation's core. Even if she could not destroy the formation's core, she could show him where she was. Little Jiu was too smart. Enfeng looked up at the thick dark clouds in the sky, and saw the ecstatic expression of his venerable one. After being stunned for a while, he turned around and admired Yin Chujiu in his heart. Miss Jiu was simply not human, she was too smart. Chapter 665. The little girl was too kind. Chujiu waited for a while, but there was no heavenly lightning as she had expected. She was a little anxious. Could it be that this array formation was so powerful that even the heavenly lightning could not break it? It should not be. Did they not say that the heavenly lightning was invincible? That old bastard Heavens relied on the heavenly lightning to scare people. The heavenly lightning should be the most powerful, so she had to work harder. Thus, this fellow started to curse. Heavens! You old bastard! Didn't you always want to kill me? Why don't you strike me? If you don't strike me to death, you're a cowardly old bastard. It did not matter that Chujiu cursed, but the flaming three-tailed fox was so scared that it almost fainted. Fuck. Has this little girl gone mad? You actually dare to curse at the heavens? Are you courting death? No wonder she told us to stay away. It turns out that she wants to commit suicide. The Fox King quickly brought its subordinates and retreated far away. The heavens would not forgive this little girl for insulting it. Even within this array formation, the heavenly lightning would descend and kill her. The flaming three-tailed Fox King's heart stirred when it thought of this. Wait. If the heavens were to descend the heavenly lightning, wouldn't the array formation here be destroyed? If the array was destroyed, we can escape. Heavens! This little girl is actually committing suicide to get us out. Sob sob. I'm truly moved. This little girl is really too kind. I feel ashamed of my previous thoughts. If she wasn't struck to death by lightning, I will definitely repay her properly. However, this king probably would not have the chance to repay her. If she insults the heavens like this, it will definitely send down several bolts of lightning. It would not be long before she will be reduced to ashes. After Chujiu finished cursing, seeing that there was still no lightning, her heart became even more uncertain. She could only continue cursing. Heavens! Are you deaf? I'm scolding you, didn't you hear me? If you have the guts, then let the lightning strike me to death. If you don't have the guts, then forget it. What Chujiu did not know was that the entire demonic beast forest had already been enveloped by dark clouds. It was supposed to be broad daylight, but it became pitch black. The demonic beasts in the entire forest were scared to the point of fleeing in all directions. Especially some high-level demonic beasts who were afraid that heavens would kill them. They were scared to the point that they hid anywhere they could find. They thought to themselves, could it be that their little tricks from 3 months ago had been discovered by heavens? They had just smelled an alluring fragrance and wanted to find the source. Even if heavens was angry, it would not have used such a large formation of clouds. Was it going to raise the demonic beast forest to the ground? Biming was extremely worried. Little Jiu, what did you do to provoke the heavens this time? Why did it seem like it was even more serious than the last time in the fire cave? And Feng mocked in his heart. Miss Jiu seems to have gone too far this time. Oh my god, with such a huge formation of clouds, no formation core can withstand it. Miss Jiu, when the time comes, don't throw stones at your own feet. And Feng, take your men and retreat to the outside of the demonic beast forest. I will stay here by myself. Biming instructed in Feng. Your Holiness, please come with us. The heavenly lightning is coming with great force. It would be bad if it accidentally injured you, and Feng advised. I know what to do. You guys can go. Biming's voice turned cold, and Feng did not dare to disobey him. So he had no choice but to leave the demonic beast forest with the rest of his men. And Feng had been praying to the gods and Buddhas along the way. Please protect your Holiness and Miss Jiu. Please don't let anything happen to them. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.